Hi, everyone. I am Kristen Morrison. I am the founder of Six Figure Pet Business Academy, and I'm the creator of the Prosperous Pet Business Online Conference. And I'm here to welcome Marina Smerling today. She is a counselor. She's a communication coach. And we're going to talk about how to deal with angry clients and staff, which a lot of pet business owners experience, unfortunately. And I just really want to thank you, Marina, so much for being a part of this today. Thank you so much for being here.
Such a pleasure, Kristen. I'm really just delighted and to get to be here with you and to get to be here with all of the folks watching today. It's really an honor.
Great. And so we're just going to dive into the kind of uncomfortable conversation around angry clients and staff. And first, we're going to start with us. Like, sometimes what happens in conflict is that it causes us to make irrational choices in the way that we communicate. So how can we make sure that conflict doesn't really absorb us so that we can communicate more effectively?
Yes, this is a really great question. So conflict happens for all of us, pet business owners or not, human beings, all of us around the planet. And the fundamental thing that I like to teach folks to start with is the self-care component, right? So how conflict comes up, I get triggered, all of my fear, anger, anxiety arises, and how can I start with myself first and foremost? There's a lovely analogy I like to use. Most of us have been on a plane in recent times, and as you're familiar with, as you're sitting there in the seat getting ready for the plane to take off, the steward or stewardess will make the announcement about, if we run out of oxygen, put your own oxygen mask on first. And then once you are breathing, then attend to the people next to you. So it's the same principle here, dealing with challenging situations with clients, putting on your own oxygen mask first. And we could talk a little bit about what that actually looks like.
Great. I'd love to actually hear. What does that look like?
Yes. So the first thing that I tell folks who I work with is just notice what you're thinking, right? Because 9 times out of 10, the story that we have about the situation is worse than what's actually happening. So notice what the fear is, what the anxiety is, or what the judgment is that's arising. It might be something like, I'm telling myself I'm going to lose this client. I'm telling myself I'm going to, the person's going to run me out of business. I'm going to end up, homeless in the gutter, sleeping, by the side of the road alone because all my clients are gone. It could be, I'm telling myself that this client is simply out of their mind, they're unreasonable, they're an inhumane monster, there's no way I can work with them. Whatever it is, the point is to add these the 4 key words before your thought. I'm telling myself that.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. And the beauty of this is that it creates some space. It just puts like a little wedge there in the door between what we're telling ourselves and what the reality is. So we can start to see, maybe, just maybe, we're jumping to conclusions, right?
Yeah, we often, as human beings, well, I should speak for myself, catastrophize a situation. And it's just so interesting, Marina, because so many of my coaching clients, when they get into conflict with a client and the client's really angry, their first reaction is, I'm going to be a bag lady or a bag man in this. It's amazing how quickly we can go down that trail. And if you're feeling that, at business owners who are out there, I have to say, you are so not alone. Yeah. Welcome to the bag lady or bag man club. I mean, all of us go there, Yeah.
So
from 0 to 60, That's
exactly it. Yeah. And the first step is just to notice, oh, I'm going to my bag lady place. Okay, good to notice.
Yeah. So then we go there. We go to that bag lady place and we say, I'm telling myself this, or I'm telling myself that.
Yeah.
And then what? So we've done that. Then what?
Yeah. So the second step is, and just for transparency with for folks who are watching today, the main body of work that I draw from in my work is called nonviolent communication. Many folks might have heard of it already. NVC for short, created by Marshall Rosenberg back in the 1960s. So So first step, noticing our thoughts, right? Second step, what am I feeling? So, okay, whoa, I'm feeling nervous, I'm feeling tense. It helps to notice what's happening in my body. I'm feeling jittery. Maybe I feel like there's steam blowing out my ears, but bringing awareness to my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And then secondly, I like to teach people just to say, put your hand, I know this sounds a little bit silly, you know, if there's nobody around and you can get away with this, put a hand on your heart, you can put a hand on your head, wherever there's the most energy, and just say, mercy for
Oh,
my humanity. Mercy, I am human,
wow.
right?
Ooh, that
Yeah,
is so sweet.
yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
amazing. Yeah, because we as humans often forget we're human. We
Ironically, yes.
we're super powered machines.
Yeah,
Not,
that's what we think we should be.
yeah, yeah, and often society reflects that back, really wanting that instead of us being really deeply feeling
Yeah,
imperfect humans.
yeah, exactly. And the beauty of this practice is, you know, one, noticing my feeling, and two, saying, mercy, I'm human. Is it, you know, I soften, I start to relax, I start to breathe. And it's from here that I regain the capacity to begin to think clearly, right? I can't think clearly about how I want to respond to the situation if A, I'm not in my body, B, I'm not calm and relaxed and really present. So this simple noticing how I'm feeling and offering mercy is really so helpful just to get grounded before we respond.
Beautiful. That's just gorgeous. And,
Yeah.
you know, it can be really difficult to have these difficult conversations. It can be so
Yeah.
hard. And so, how do we go about preparing ourselves for a difficult conversation?
Yeah.
What's the best
Yeah.
way to go about having a difficult conversation?
Yeah. Such a good question. Um, there's a few different things that I want to say here. So one is, you know, after I notice my thoughts, I notice my feelings. The third piece that I want in the way of getting ready for the conversation is to notice what's important to me. What are my values? What are my needs? Right? This too is going to take us out of our spinning mind, out of our spinning thoughts, and down into our hearts, down into our bodies, where we can be present and grounded. So, for instance, I get a complaint from a client. I get a bad Yelp review. You know, any of the above, and just to notice. Okay, I'm telling myself I'm going to be alone in the gutter, feeling scared. What is my need? What is my this need or this value that I hold? And really, um, you know, I have a need for my financial sustainability, for my well-being. I have a need to care for my family. Right, this is my primary income at this point. And just noticing that there's some beautiful needs in here that are motivating the spinning thoughts. And when we can come down out of our heads and into the heart, into the realm of connecting with what we care about, again, that's going to be tremendously grounding. So noticing I'm going to be going into this conversation, I'm feeling scared. I really want my financial well-being and sustainability. So already I'm dropping another layer of the jitteriness and coming down into greater presence. So that's the one last thing I want to mention before having the conversation. In terms of starting the conversation itself, the biggest thing that I recommend to folks is to prioritize connection over solutions.
Mm.
And this is completely the antithesis of the way that we typically go about addressing conflicts in our lives and in our world. We go straight, you know, dive head first into how can I solve the problem. And I want to say that the biggest resource that's on your side as a business owner is your capacity to connect with your clients first and to go to solution second. So what does this look like? What does the connection first look like? It looks like asking the same question about what is my need, but asking it about your client.
Mm.
Can I dare to get curious about what they might be needing? What might be important to them? I'm guessing they might be feeling jittery too and scared and have a need for care for their pet. Maybe there's a lot going on in their lives. They're completely overwhelmed. That's why they've hired me. They have a need for ease, for peace of mind. And again, as I name those needs, something starts to settle in me. I see, there's a humanity here. There's a human being that I can connect with. I've said a lot. I kind of want to pause and see.
It's fantastic. I'm just taking it all in. Yeah, I'm right there with you, girl. It's great.
Beautiful. Yeah. So this is really the biggest piece. Connection first before solution. We'll get to solution, put it on the back burner temporarily, then we'll drag it up front.
Yeah. Great.
So go for connection first.
How do we actually connect, though? I hear what you're saying about tapping into their needs, and I just love that, because when we can tune into that before we even make that call, it can put us in a different mind frame. But then once we're on the call, how do we connect when they're angry and upset?
Yeah, beautiful. So the first thing I want to do in the way of forging connection is, again, to connect with their humanity. So what does that look like? It looks like making guesses about how they're feeling and what they're needing. So if you are the pet owner and I'm, the dog walker, I might say, wow, I'm guessing you're feeling really overwhelmed. I'm guessing this was really scary for you. You really want predictability with little fuzzy wuzzy, like you really want some peace of mind to really trust things are going to be handled. So notice I'm naming what I'm guessing the client is feeling. Maybe they're feeling scared, overwhelmed, and what they're needing. They're wanting predictability. They're wanting peace of mind. So I'm guessing, right? I'm wondering if this is going on for you. Wow, it sounds like you're feeling really upset. You really got taken by surprise. You were wanting some predictability here, something like that.
Right.
And then it gives the client a chance to respond and to say, yeah, exactly. Thanks for understanding. Or to say, no, it's not predictability. I just want agreement around our contract. If, you said you're going to be here and I want follow through. Okay. So you really wanted that follow through. You really want to have a sense of integrity around our agreement, right? The important thing is that you're guessing, is that you're feeling curious about what's going on for them and being willing to engage and to say, is this what's happening in your world? Am I understanding it?
It's great. I've taken some nonviolent communication classes, and it is incredible to see people soften when they feel heard. They may be totally angry, but if somebody feels heard, it just can soften the hardest person. I'm sure you've experienced that too, work with people.
Yeah, it's really quite magical.
It is. I mean, I know Marshall Rosenberg went into gang. He worked with gang members, among other people, many other different types of people, and he went and worked with them, and they were these softies.
Yeah, exactly. People just want to be heard. People just want to be understood. And when you reach for their humanity and you say, am I getting you here? Is this what's happening? There's this tremendous relief that happens on the other side of, wow, somebody's getting me. I mean, you actually might be the only person this week, this month, this year who's taken the time to actually get them. This is really an invaluable practice that you can offer.
It's incredible. Yeah. And when people are in conflict, often there's opposing viewpoints. So how do you deal with that, right? Even if you've managed to do the bridge of, I hear you, there still is that opposing viewpoint.
Opposing viewpoint. Yeah. Well, so there's a couple of things here. So first of all, again, focusing on connection before solution, right? The opposing viewpoints often falls into the realm of solution. We have different strategies for how we want to fix it. So going for connection first. So great, I'm going for my client's humanity. Wow, you're feeling scared, you're feeling overwhelmed. You really wanted some trust around our agreement. Is that it, right? And then I want to see, do they have space to hear what my needs are? right? I want to get my needs on the table here too before we get to crafting a solution. So I might say something like, I might check in and say, hey, client Kristen, I just want to see, do you feel heard? Do you feel like I'm getting you? And if
Mhm.
you say yes, then I might say, well, I'd love to share, what's important to me here, if that's okay with you. And then if you said yes, I might say, well, actually, I really want some peace of mind too. So I'm naming my needs, I'm naming my values around the situation. I really want shared understanding around our agreement. I really want some clarity about how I can best be of service to you, right? So I'm naming the needs first
Mhm.
and seeing if we can connect on that level. If the client, is nodding the way that you are now, great, that's a good sign. I might say, does that make sense? Is this, are you getting me here? And if there's a yes, then we go to the opposing viewpoints. Okay, so, but I'm framing how we're going to deal with the seeming conflict in terms of our needs. So you really want, predictability around our schedule. I have a need for clarity around when you want me to come. It sounds like, there's been some miscommunication. Um, can we go ahead and craft a new agreement that's going to serve both of our needs,
Mhm.
for instance?
That's great. I love that. And is there a different way that we should be handling business conversations versus personal conversations, or are they the same?
Yeah, great question. So all of this that I'm sharing with folks today, um, this is 100% applicable not just to your business relationships, but also to your personal relationships. You can try it with your friends, with your spouse, with family. Um, and yes, the key thing to remember in business relationships is to just to not assume that the client's going to be comfortable necessarily revealing all of their humanity from the get-go, the way that we would expect intimacy with a spouse, for instance. Um, so oftentimes, if you're working with a client and you sense that they're particularly, a little bit tight, a little bit defended, we might say, a couple of strategies here. One is you can leave out guessing at their feelings or naming their feelings altogether, because feelings can be tremendously vulnerable to have reflected. You might just go for the need. Wow, so yeah, sounds like you really wanted some, you really want security and safety for your home. And when I didn't lock the door, I can see how that your desire for security didn't get met, something like that. Um, the other thing is just choosing which feeling words, just gauging which feeling words to use. I might use words more like concerned. Are you feeling concerned? Are you feeling frustrated? Rather than, wow, client Kristen, are you feeling really vulnerable? Are you feeling heartbroken? And again, it depends on the client. You got to just suss
Oh,
it out, see what's going to be appropriate.
that's
Yeah.
great. And so, Marina, what if I'm just thinking about, because I owned my pet sitting company for 18 years, and as you can imagine, I had a lot of different scenarios with staff and clients and
Yeah.
all of their various things. And I'm just thinking back to when I had the experience of, say, a staff member saying that they didn't do what the client said that they did. Let's say that the client said you didn't lock the door, and the
Yeah.
staff said, I am 100% certain I did lock the door. How would you deal with that with a client who's very angry?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really good question. So again, this is one of those situations where it's so tempting to go to problem solving first. Was the door locked? Was the door not locked? Okay, let's do the investigation. Let's, put all the pieces together and go in like Sherlock Holmes. And it can be completely counterintuitive to go for connection first.
Mhm.
So even there, wow, guessing this was really scary for you. I'm guessing it was really disturbing to come home and to find the door unlocked with all of your things inside. You really want to make sure that your home's going to be cared for and protected. Am I getting you? Right? Again, just that level of empathic connection, whew, can make a world of difference for the conversation to come. Um, and then as the pet business owner, I I would like I would want to express if there's some genuine my genuine concern, and if there is any regret around, if I think there is a chance something wasn't done properly, mourning, wow, it's really important for me to ensure the security of your home. That's absolutely, primary importance. And I feel sad that you came home and found the door unlocked. Um, it's tricky, right? Because I don't want to jeopardize the integrity of my staff member who's 100% certain that she or he locked the door. So it's really how much empathy can I genuinely express without necessarily making the staff member wrong as well. Again, empathy for your client. And then my experience is that the solution is just like the icing on the cake. Okay, well, let's just really double check. I'll check in with dog walker Sandy and really make sure she's got this, that she knows that your safety and security is of primary importance. And of course, this, you're going to want to put the client first, as a business owner, right? Just to really show that their needs are of primary importance to you. Yeah. And then, of course, it's a separate conversation that you have with dog walker Sandy.
Exactly. Just make sure that going forward, double check those locks.
Yeah. And Sandy might need some empathy too about like, wow, she wants to really feel trusted.
Yeah. Right. And what about, let's say, I'm just thinking about different scenarios that might come up for pet business owners, and I'm thinking about, say, a pet sitter who was supposed to visit a dog and they missed a visit, and this is a staff member and it's a very important client, and then the staff member calls, or somehow as the business owner you find out that the staff member missed the visit. How do you deal with that with your staff member when you're the one who's upset? Because it's a very valuable client. They might not end up using you because they don't trust you anymore. How would you deal with that with your staff?
Yeah, great question. So again, first and foremost, I'm going to put on my own oxygen mask. Like, whoa, this is scary. Whoa, I'm telling myself I'm going to end up in the gutter because my employee messed up, right? I really want the well-being of my business. I want to make sure I'm able to pay the rent next month. So oxygen mask first for self, and then going into the conversation with the staff member, same principles apply. Empathy for them first, so that then they are even going to have the space to be able to hear me. Wow, I'm guessing, this is upsetting for you that you have the memory that you locked the door. Or, I'm sorry, not to lock the door, that you had the schedule, and there was some miscommunication. I'm guessing this is upsetting for you. You really want to be trusted. You want to be known for your intentions to be 100% reliable. Am I getting you? Right? So starting with empathy for them, and then when they feel heard, then there's going to open up some space so they can hear me. So as you can imagine, employee, there's some feelings that are coming up for me, and I'd like to share. I'm actually feeling, tremendously concerned myself. I really want to need 100% trust and reliability here for all of our clients as well. And I might say, because it's so important for me as the business owner to be heard about this, I might say, can I ask you what you're hearing me say? I really want to know that I'm being clear. Yeah. And then we kind of go into the dance of connection from there. But again, principles: oxygen mask for myself first, empathy for the staff member, and then I'm going to share my own feelings, my own needs. Yeah.
That's great. And I just was kind of reflecting as you were talking about, it's actually takes a lot of courage for thinking back to clients, of them approaching us as business owners and saying that they're unhappy, because a lot of clients aren't going to do that. They're just going to disappear, and we're not even going to know why. Yeah. So it's a real opportunity when these clients come to us and say they're unhappy, because what I've noticed in my own business, and I think they've even done documented studies about this, that people that are unhappy, clients that are unhappy, when they come to you and you handle it in a really beautiful way where they feel heard and understood, they are more likely to refer their friends to you if they end up staying, because their needs have been met, their needs of being heard.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's quite ironic. Um, it's such a two things. There's a gift both ways, right? The client taking the risk to come to you and to say, "Hey, this didn't work for me." It's actually a gift,
Yeah.
because right, the alternative is, I'm just not going to call Kristen or whoever anymore. I'm gonna look in the phone but call this other person. So it's a gift. It's saying I care enough about this relationship that I want to work it out. So it's a gift to you. And then you're giving the gift of listening to them and building trust, right? Again, your capacity to listen, to empathize, to understand what's going on in their world, is going to do much more than just, walk the dog, feed the cat. It's going to build a trust in your relationship and in your human connection that's going to make the relationship valuable, right? In a way that just walking the dog, feeding the cat in itself wouldn't necessarily involve. So,
Right.
yeah. So it makes you become in their eyes, a more trustworthy dog walker, etc., and somebody who they can turn to and going to feel a sense of trust with, and therefore refer their friends to.
That's great. And I'm just thinking about another scenario that I've heard some of my dog trainer coaching clients come to me with, where they've had the experience of they have trained this dog, and the client is saying, "Oh, the dog isn't responding to training." Maybe the client isn't working with the dog as they should. How can a dog trainer handle that kind of scenario? I'm imagining it's similar to what you've said, but wondering if there's anything additionally that they might be able to do.
Yeah, so you're saying the dog walker, whoever is training the dog, and then the client isn't following through with the training on their own time. Yeah, and then it becomes more challenging for the dog walker.
Or actually the dog trainer, and if the client's going, "I don't feel like my dog is being trained properly," but the dog walker suspects that the client isn't following through with the homework that they've been given. Any ideas around that?
Yeah. Got it. So good. Yeah, I can imagine this is a common one. So yeah, same basic principles, self-connection. Woo! I'm telling myself this person's an idiot. They're a liar. This isn't fair. They're putting all the blame on me. Blah. Right? And I really need some support here for working with little Fuzzy Wuzzy. Again, and then the next piece, empathy for the pet owner, right? Yeah, guessing, this is really important for you. You want some ease around walking Fuzzy Wuzzy, and he's not stopping at the corner, whatever, right? So empathy for them, and then going into my own. And then when I sense that they're ready to hear my different perspective, right? Okay, have I got you? Okay, yes. Well, I'd love to tell you what's coming up over here, which is I feel some concern because I know I'm putting in a lot of time with a Fuzzy Wuzzy, and I'm wanting to make sure that she's getting the support that she needs. And I'm wondering if we could review, just if you'd be willing just to take 5 minutes to review the homework that I gave you, just to see if there's any questions, and make sure that it's happening, right? The problem is if I jump right into that piece, rather than going for connection first, right? The dog owner, Fuzzy Wuzzy's owner, is likely to get defensive, to push back, rather than, okay, I see your humanity, I see what you care about here. You want support and ease around this. I have a need for support, and actually for clarity too, and shared understanding. Make sure we're on the same page, right? And then once I voice that, then we can get to the problem solving. Okay, let's get down to it. We have, homework exercises 1 through 5. Could we just review them and make sure that we're on the same page?
Great. That's great. And you know, it's interesting because I think for most of us humans, when we feel connected, that is incredibly satisfying. And for me, it's really why I'm here. Like I deeply want to connect with people, and that gives meaning and purpose to my life. You know, it's almost like a lot of us get caught up in the end result instead of the journey, you know, in terms of conversation and conflict resolution, where when that journey is done in a really skillful, empathic way, like you're talking about, it can be incredibly satisfying. And man, when we get off the phone from one of those difficult conversations that we've managed to really turn around into this beautiful connected experience, it's transformative, and we leave feeling higher than a kite, you know?
Yeah, it's so true. There's a way that the capacity to navigate these difficult conversations with care, it like you're saying, it goes so much farther than the conversation itself, right? It has me feeling a sense of meaning, of deep satisfaction, and really, it gives me hope for humanity, right? Because of all the stories that I have, not just about Fuzzy Wuzzy's owner, but about all of humanity being idiots, being stupid, being unreliable, uncaring, etc. All of those stories I can start to question, right? There's an invitation. Wow, if I worked it out with Fuzzy Wuzzy's owner, what if I could do this with everybody in my life? What if it's all a big misunderstanding, right? What if there's the potential for connection and seeing one another's hearts and seeing one another's humanity in all of my relationships? So there's a really beautiful invitation to get to be curious about what connection is possible in our lives and in this world, beyond the individual, you know, pet owner relationship.
It's great. And I think the biggest thing too is people react rather than respond. And I don't know if you've heard about that phrase, restraint of pen and tongue, and it could be computer too, where when we get triggered, it's bypass that, okay, I'm going to check in with myself. How am I feeling? It's almost like the knee-jerk reaction, right? The reflective response to getting hurt or somebody being a jerk to us, you know, cutting us off the road. And and yet if we can just take that moment, it can change everything.
It can change everything. And, you know, I want to say it's also not about stuffing it. It's just about, you know, diverting that energy of that anger and the frustration and the wanting to defend and the wanting to, you know, attack, diverting it into a productive, you know, productive channel. And for a lot of people, I recommend, you know, journal, write it out, right? All the thoughts that you have, all the judgments that you have about this other person, or maybe it's your own fear about yourself, right? But write it all out. Let that energy move somewhere. Yeah, because it just wants a place to move. And if we can move it productively and digest it before we engage in the actual conversation, it's going to drastically increase our chances of the conversation going well.
I love that. And, you know, I think, because I recommend that to my coaching clients too, it's like, move that energy. If you need to write a letter and burn it, you know, and not do it, do it. If you need to scream, you know, I've recommended that people go in their car, you know, and just roll up the windows and scream, you know, as loud as they can while they're driving down the freeway, you know.
Totally.
You need to do out, because before you have that conversation, because if it's stuck in there, it's going to come out in weird ways, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, again, mercy for our humanity. This energy needs to move. And I personally am a big fan of the screaming in the car methodology, therapy on wheels. You know, got your private scream tank.
I know.
Yeah. And I just want to say too, you know, being a business owner, it'll bring up everything. It brings up all the insecurities, all the fears, the anxieties. It brings up all of our human stuff, right? So I just want to say for everyone who's watching today, just, mercy, like mercy for the courage and the risk taking that it really requires to be on this path of supporting yourself, doing something you care about, doing something you love, and just so gentle with yourselves. This will bring up everything for your, not just for how I become a better pet owner, but business owner, but how do I evolve, as a human being, and really just to like bring so much compassion and gentleness, for yourself first and foremost. I really want this for everybody who's listening.
Oh, it's so great. I've told people that business has been my greatest spiritual teacher. If you do it long enough, you're going to really go through the fire. It's just part of what you sign up as a business owner.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And can we just, dare to pause and to offer ourselves that mercy and compassion first and foremost? Because really, it's not just a good business practice, but it's a good business practice, and this really can change the world.
Yeah.
And I mean it wholeheartedly. And we have this self-compassion first. I just soften and relax just saying it right now. And what becomes possible in the world when I'm gentle and present and loving towards myself. Really, it allows for a whole different way of connecting and relating to everyone around me.
It is. And even that word mercy is just, I don't hear it very often, and as I'm hearing you say that, it's like something in my body is softening. It's a beautiful word.
Yeah, it's funny how that works.
Yeah, so what is the best way to create sustainable solutions that work for everybody involved?
Yeah, yes, this is an important piece here. So after I've done the self-care, after I've connected with the client, how do I go to the solution phase? The two biggest, most important suggestions I have here are, number one, make your solutions really specific. Not like, okay, so you're going to come regularly, but you're going to come every day. You're going to come once a day or twice a week. You're going to come at this time. Really get as specific as possible, because it's where we don't invoke that specificity, that confusion happens, that miscommunication happens, that we end right back in the same place the next week. So get really specific. Make sure that you both are on the same page with your vision as to what's going to solve the problem. And secondly, make it positive as opposed to negative. So what I mean is, rather than, please don't leave, what would I say? Please don't leave the dog bowl a mess. I don't know. Or please don't leave the house unlocked even, is, I guess this is more on the client's end, but, please be sure to do such and such. Make sure that the dog food is all in the container, or make sure that you close this latch and then the one beneath it before you leave. These are, minor examples, but the point is, whatever you agree to, frame it positively, because if you frame it negatively, it doesn't, again, give us the specificity that we need to make sure that there's shared understanding and shared agreement. Yeah, so those are the two most important tips I want to say around the solution phase of the conversation.
Yeah, and I love how you said, please do this instead of don't do this.
Yeah, exactly. Please, yeah. And it's inviting. It feels better to be asked to do something. Oh, I can contribute, rather than to be told not to do something, which it reminds, many of us of our childhood days of being scolded.
How dare you tell me what to do? Yeah, and a lot of business owners like that they get to control what they get to do. So that can be very triggering sometimes for business owners. So it's just something to kind of look at.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, please can be really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Invite willingness, but to the extent that I can phrase my request as a request and not a demand, it's going to inspire a lot more joyful willingness on the part of the business, the pet owner, to comply.
That's great.
Yeah.
So any other tips that you have for communicating more effectively with staff or clients or both?
Yeah. With staff or with clients or both. Um, yeah, I think that the main thing I want to, just the other piece I want to add in here is that this is a practice. But navigating difficult conversations with pet owners, with our staff. This is a journey. It's a skill to hone over time. So, A, to be gentle with ourselves, and B, to know that if you don't get it right the first time, that's okay. You can come back to it. Um, uh, you can always say to your client, I'm noticing that I feel a little bit uncertain, a little bit unsettled about our last conversation. I just want to check in to make sure that we really are on the same page, or that we really have the trust here that you're wanting. Could we revisit that? Could we have a brief phone call, this Friday afternoon, for instance? Again, making a really positive, specific request. But just knowing that you don't have to get it right on the first time, and that kind of softens the pressure for those out there who are watching who tend to be the perfectionists and want to get everything right the first time. Don't do that to yourself, right? This is a practice, and you get to take time to hone it, to get good at it, and to know that you can always come back and clean up the mess if it doesn't get clean the first time.
I love that, Marina. Yeah, and I'm just thinking, I know I saw recently that you were at Google with some other nonviolent communication people, and I mean, you're going into corporations and teaching this because it's so important.
Yeah, this practice, yeah, hopefully as folks who are watching can tell, this really has the capacity to change lives, and it is being taught all over the world. I don't know how many countries, millions of people, are becoming acquainted with nonviolent communication. Yes, we use it, interpersonally in our most intimate relationships. We can use it at work. We can bring it into our, corporate settings. It really has the capacity to increase our our capacity, number one for connection, but also for efficiency, for effectiveness at the corporate level. So many applications, so many ways that we can benefit the world around us through this simple practice of focusing on connection first before solution, right? Which actually is going to lead to more efficiency and smooth running in all of our relationships.
Yeah, and in the personal realm, it's like I know I've done some life coaching for people, and when difficult conversations come up, I've referred you because it's like you're able to help craft letters that change lives too. So if somebody, yeah,
that's been one of the most fun fun ways I've been able to apply this work, is helping folks to get to write letters to friends, to family members who they've had, rifts in relationships with, and to get to invite that disappeared family member or friend back into the relationship, back into communication. And at times there's been really kind of miraculous consequences, relationships restored, and it's just been so beautiful to witness. So yeah, that's one of my favorite ways to get to apply these tools.
it's beautiful. So how can conference attendees find out more about you and your work?
Yes, I would be delighted to hear from any of the attendees. My website they can go to is shamelessheart.com, shamelessheart.com. And, I offer free consultations. Folks can learn more about that on my website. And I also offer local practice groups here in the Bay Area. And I do coaching both locally and long distance.
Great.
And, yeah, I would welcome getting to hear from anybody who feels drawn to, is wondering how on earth can I bring these tools into my life? I want to see the kind of changes that we're talking about here today. Totally welcome it.
That's great. And Marshall, what's Marshall's last name? Is it Goldberg? What?
Rosenberg.
Rosenberg. Okay, so Marshall Rosenberg. What is the name of his book? Is it just Nonviolent Communication?
Yeah, it's Nonviolent Communication: A Language of Life.
Okay, great.
And yeah, it's available on Amazon. You can usually find a used copy for about $12. There's also audio CDs for those of you who might be listening who drive a lot or just would rather hear auditorily. Some folks choose just to get the MP3. But yeah, really profound, life-changing book. For so
Right.
many folks. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Marina. I really appreciate you sharing, your experience and hope around these difficult conversations that can just open our lives and our hearts. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. It's an absolute delight to get to be here with you, Kristen, and to get to share this practice that's been so incredibly meaningful to me. And I hope it can impact the lives of the attendees of this conference as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, my dear. Have a wonderful day.
Blessings to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Bye.
Bye.